is hungry. This team isn't done. This team is not going to be denied.
Energy all day! Energy all day!
Nick Bolton makes the hit. It's intercepted by Brian Cook. It's Mahomes gunning it low. Caught!
The Chiefs put together their top performance of the season last week in a complete victory over Detroit. And now back to 500, we'll renew one of the league's great rivalries here today in another edition of Raider Week. We are 2 hours from kickoff. You've waited all week for this very moment. It's finally here. It is time for football in Chiefs Kingdom. Let's do this. My name is Matt McMullen, joined by voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. This is Field Pass, presented by StorageMart. And Mitch, not only are the Chiefs playing their best football right now, we're also getting a familiar face back today, too.
Oh, man, there's so much excitement to get Rashee Rice back into the fold. It's been a long time coming, but just the vibe, you've sensed it and you've seen it in the hallways this week. Even on the defensive side, there's just this anticipation of turning it loose out here.
So just in case you need a reminder of how well Rashee was playing before he got hurt last year, through week 3 of last season, he led the NFL in catches with 24 and ranked second in receiving yards with 288. And now we're adding that kind of production to an offense that scored at least 28 points in 3 straight weeks. It's very exciting.
If you projected his year out, he was going to be close to 1,300 yards receiving.
Man.
And, double-digit touchdowns. But I think that even in this interim time that we've waited for him to come back, the Chiefs have found new ways to use him. And that's where I'm excited about it. And I know we'll get into it later, but I'll give you the comp that I've used all week, and I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention, too, that he's not coming back to an offense that's been struggling this year. This offense has scored 95 points over the last 3 weeks. That's their most points in a 3-week span since late in the 2021 season. It'd feel much different if the offense was struggling and we were saying, Rashee, I hope he can fix everything. Not the case. This offense has been playing great so far this year. And now for the first time in over a year and a half, we actually get to see Rashee, Xavier Worthy, and Hollywood Brown all on the field at the same time.
The red zone's been spectacular. Since halftime of the Giants game, the span of 14 quarters, the Chiefs have been in the red zone 19 times. They have 14 touchdowns with 8 different players. And now you bring a real red zone weapon into it, another red zone weapon in Rashee Rice. And people have asked me, I said it's like trading and getting Deebo Samuel, because I think Deebo Samuel in his prime. And so I think that the fact that he can do so many things and even do more things now because he can allow other players to do other things he was asked to do, if that makes sense. It's just a matter of value adding here with Rashee in the lineup.
We're very excited about the offense. We're also excited about our defense. Yeah. They were awesome last week. We had a chance to catch up with Leo Chanel on this defense on our podcast earlier this week.
Oh, yeah. The man with the one-handed interception we bring in now, the guy that's had more big plays that you don't know about or think about, but we'll remind you about, Leo Chanel. Great to have you with us. By the way, did you know your interception was shown at the Wisconsin-Iowa game?
I did not know that.
I had friends at the game representing both sides, and they went nuts because they had your pick up there at Camp Randall.
Got to represent, man. Got to.
That's awesome. Just how far you guys have come defensively since week 1. And why has this changed? Because that performance against the Lions was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it. We talk about it, today too in team meeting. We just got to find that consistency. Obviously, we had plays, we wish we had back in crucial moments in those losses. But I just see a resilient team. It's a lot of guys that have been in the situations before where we're not doing well, and we have a resilient team. I'm like, guys are humble enough to all right, what do we need to fix week to week? And guys are stepping up to the challenge.
The second half of last week's game against Detroit, I think you guys showed that resiliency. I mean, that's the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. You hold them to only 17 points. What went into that, particularly in the second half, of making sure that Detroit, they were trying to get rolling and they never could?
Yeah, I mean, first off, our offense was, helping us out a lot because, first half they ran the ball, just kept on running the ball, and, they only went to, 11 personnel with one tight end group, like maybe on third down, like that's about it. So they were running the ball and they were doing well, but we had some good halftime adjustments going into it, and just, certain things like tightening a defensive end here, just the little alignment things, and then again our offense was scoring, so we got them into more like passing downs, and it worked out well for us.
But, Leo, it's really been about 2.5 years of defending the run. There have been the breakouts, the one Raven run of 71 yards, but what you did against Gibbs and Montgomery. But now here comes Ashton Genty, right? Raiders weed, here he comes. The guy's near the top of the league, actually is at the top in broken tackles. The key to defending the run and to do it consistently, because you guys have done it now for almost 3 years.
Right. I mean, the key is obviously, like, for that dude wrapping him up, as you talked about the missed tackles. His yards per carry, like, doesn't show, like, amazing numbers, but, he's breaking tackles. He's, one of the best runners in the league, just off the eye test, in my opinion. So it's just guys holding their gaps, pressing the gaps, because he has that patience too. So just everybody doing their jobs, firing all cylinders. Linebackers got to help out, get downhill, help out the D linemen.
I feel like you can do just about everything out there. You can stop the run, you can rush the passer, you can cover. Where do you think you've grown the most, though, over the last 4 years since you first got here?
I would say in the pass game, and covering and stuff, and a lot of it is just working on my eyes. Coach Spags, it's an eyes defense, pattern match defense, and that was a little adjustment to me. High school, college, you drop on a terminal 45-degree drop, and just kind of sit in a zone or even whatever it is. But just training my eyes, and just trusting my breaks is a huge thing, because I feel like the athleticism, change of direction was always there, but the next step was just trusting myself and making those breaks on the ball.
Now he's just picking off Lamar Jackson. No big deal.
Against Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
So let's go back, because you had the Juszczyk interception last year when he ran the boundary route at San Francisco, and I asked you about it. You were all fired up. The fact that, and then this one to get this interception, because people will say the offense will try to dictate it, right? We're going to get in this personnel. You have to be in base, or we'll put you in nickel or dime. Now they get you in base, and I go, no, we're going to throw against them when you're in base. How much of that are you guys starting to dispel? And how big was it to get that interception against Andrews?
Yeah, I mean, it was huge. And, back to that, it's like we want to be in, our base personnel against whatever they're like 12, 13, U personnel, which is 22, as much as possible, because, the percentages say they're going to run the ball. But, it's all about, can I step up to the plate, when they're trying to scheme us up, whether it's putting the fullback, on the wheel route, or Mark Andrews on a scramble. So, I think it's, an honor to be able to, for Spags, just to keep calling base, even though, we're playing against, a tight end group like the Ravens, the Jaguars. We've had a lot of great, sets of tight ends here. So it's definitely an honor and a privilege to be able to step on the field and, know I can make a play, and, know I can step up to the plate when it comes time.
Now, we saw you in the 4-point stance on offense. Was that last year or 2 years ago? At some point. We're going to get some more of that at some point. You kind of telling Coach Reed, hey, I'm still here.
I'm definitely, tapping him on the shoulder a little bit. You never know what's going to happen. I'm ready for the death row package whenever it comes time. So, that'll definitely be fun.
That's awesome.
But we got to give you the ball on that.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
It's
I was a running back, so
yeah.
It's just we'll see. Just patience. That's all.
Talking about broken tackles.
The Grants Burton Pirates, man. You guys are rolling it in the state of Wisconsin. What big play are you most proud of in your career? Because there's a lot of them that people have forgotten about. What's the biggest one that you say, okay, I'm most proud of this single play?
Just looking back on things, the Super Bowl games, the block kick, like those are all like super, game-changing plays, and that I'm really, proud about. But I honestly think it's the interception, just because the emotional, the weight it carries, because I was always told like I couldn't do certain things, and some guys, I mentioned this before, some guys said like I'm never going to get better, at coverage, which was crazy to me. So just to be able to not only prove to others but prove to myself, like, hey, you know what, they're wrong, and it's up to me, like, just to prove it.
During the preseason, we were meeting with Coach Reed, just kind of going through the roster. And when it got to you, he just goes, Leo's a beast. That's what he is. He's just a beast. I mean, Coach Reed's one of the greatest coaches of all time. When you hear a coach like that saying that about you, what's that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, his weights carry a lot. They hold a lot of weight. Whether it's he's yelling at you, stopping to practice to, call you out, in the middle of training camp and, you're out of breath, that holds a lot of weight. And when he compliments you, it's you're listening, whatever he's saying, you're listening and, you don't just take it with a grain of salt. So it's definitely an honor. It's really cool, to hear that.
All right, great stuff there from Leo Chanel. We're now joined by an absolute legend. It's Christian Okoye. Christian, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I know you've been here a bunch of times over the years, but what are the emotions like when you walk out here on this grass? You've had so many great memories here, right?
Man, I tell you, every time I walk down here, man, I just feel the chills, because it brings you back to 1989, 1990, when this had all started. It's incredible to be here.
You are one of the most amazing stories in NFL history. How did you get from Nigeria to Azusa Pacific to out here on this field?
Man, I tell you, man, I'm blessed. I was a track and field guy, came to Azusa Pacific University for 1984 Olympics, and of course Nigeria didn't take me, and I decided I got to do something else. I love soccer a lot, but I was weighing 285 pounds. So I couldn't play soccer. My friend says, why don't you try football? I hated football, but I gave it a trial, and I'm here. I tell you, it wasn't easy because I hated football while I was playing. Even when I was in Kansas City, I didn't understand the game, but, sticking with it with the encouragement of friends, Billy Matthews, the running back coach back then, my coaches back in Azusa, everything worked out.
So something I wanted to ask you for a long time. What's the genesis of the giant shoulder pads? Because not everyone in the 80s and 90s had giant shoulder pads, but you did. Where'd that come from?
It's so fun. Every time we talk to the Nigerian players now in the NFL, they all say, man, we tried to emulate Christian Okoye in high school. But they understand that when I was wearing that shoulder pads, it was because of my neck problem.
Okay.
Yeah, so they built it up. Mike Davidson built the shoulder pads up so that I would be protected. That's the only way, the only reason why I wore that. But also worked in such a way that when I come out here to play against the Raiders and the Chargers and stuff, everybody's like, damn, what's going on? So I usually take a lap around the field a couple of times so they can see me,
I think it was effective.
Yeah.
It's an intimidation factor. So we have two groups to thank here. The Nigerian coaches for not putting him on the Olympic team, or this wouldn't have happened. And two, Mike Davidson for making those shoulder pads.
Yes.
But we want to thank you because you helped build this.
Oh, thank you.
Because, and I want to take you back, to beat and to play the Raiders on this day. Memories of the Raiders, but to win that playoff game here. It was the first playoff victory for this franchise in 22 seasons. That era, because Arrowhead is today what you guys built in 89, 90, 91.
I tell you, when Carl Peterson came and brought Marty Schottenheimer, I was like, what's going on here? I'm excited. And Marty called me and says, Christian, why don't you come in so we can speak to you? And I was like, maybe I was going to get released, But he says, Christian, I want you to be prepared. We're going to run the ball and run it a lot. We had about 10 seconds communication, and that was it, just flying from California. And what happened that year in 1989 is just magical, and everybody just gravitated and just embraced what we're doing, and our defense was tough too. I wish we would have been able to go further.
So what about this matchup today? What are your keys to a Chiefs victory over the Raiders?
Oh man, just do what we did last week and run the ball. We got this. We're a better team. I think we're going to do it today.
One of the things that warms both Matt and my heart is how you stay engaged with the current team now. You have such an impact. What do you tell these current players when you get a chance to talk to them, either collectively or individually?
Well, I tell you, football is a sport, but it's life too. This is where God put you to do what you're doing today. So where would you rather be than Arrowhead Stadium? Not everybody gets the chance to be here and do what you do. So when you do it, put your heart into it and work hard at it, and you'll be successful.
Wise words.
Well, Christian, you're the man. We're going to let you go. You have a busy day here today. You're on the drum, I believe. Good luck up there, and enjoy being embraced by this crowd because they love you too.
Oh, thank you. I love them a lot. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Christian.
Wait a minute. Don't you want him to go put on the shoulder pads and you just run right out here by the Raiders?
Intimidate the Raiders a little bit?
Just jog back and forth.
I wish I could. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
Love you guys.
God bless you, brother. The Nigerian Nightmare, Matt.
That's awesome. I mean, what a legend.
How about that? He just runs around the field in shoulder pads just to get everybody fired up. Oh, we can finally get information.
Here we go.
We finally get information.
We had some technical difficulties this morning.
Yes. We call the lighthouse. Glenn Conley, hang on. We'll get up here and run it.
We're online.
We finally have. We have it.
Yes, we do. Well,
I felt like I was, out of water, like a fish flopping on the shore here.
But we found a way because you're a pro.
No, it's all good, but we're ready to go.
We were talking about Rashee Rice before Christian got in here. Someone else that's excited about Rashee being back is Patrick Mahomes. And what a season Patrick's having. He leads the NFL right now in total offensive yards and total offensive touchdowns, having an MVP caliber year. What's impressed you most about Patrick this year?
His accuracy, the fact that he's been so pinpoint. I talked about the red zone numbers. His red zone accuracy, even the interception to Kels was where he wanted to put the ball. And the fact that he has become an effective runner. This isn't running to some of them are scrambles, but these are designed RPO runs. And we run so many RPOs that if he's a threat to run, or the option play that he ran right behind us against Branch last week in the Detroit game, that's a sprint option play where he's a threat to run the ball. It's not just running to somehow disguise or confuse the defense or running for his life. It's running by design, and that sets up everybody else.
Well, he'll try to keep that going here today against a very talented Raiders defensive front. They have 14 sacks this year, 11th most in the NFL. And the man, of course, leading the way is Max Crosby. How do we slow down Crosby today?
Well, getting Rice back helps.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned this before, but Coach taught me back in 2013, you can block a speed rusher without touching him, and that means a lot of side-to-side action. The horizontal action of flip passes, end arounds, screens, and those kind of plays can slow down a guy, because if I just go barreling after the quarterback and the play goes by me, we've seen it with the Bosa's and other, then you just render it useless. Now, I will tell you, though, too, and I've been sounding this alarm all week long, is that Malcolm Kuntz being back has helped Crosby. Crosby's the only guy in the league right now that has 5 tackles for loss, at least 5 tackles for losses. He's got 10. He leads the league, and at least 5 passes defensed. So Crosby can wreck your iPad by doing more than just rushing the quarterback. But he's helped by Kuntz. Kuntz is helped by him. Kuntz missed all of last year with an ACL injury. It was Kuntz out here on Christmas Day of 2023 that wrecked the holiday party. He had 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and he was a menace. So Kuntz, to me, is nearly as much of a concern as a Max Crosby.
Yeah, I think this Raiders defense is a little bit better than maybe they get credit for, because their offense has done their defense no favors this year. They've started defensively in their own territory 13 times this season, second most of any team in the NFL.
And Matt, let me tag that. That's the worst in 16 years.
Yeah.
It's since the 2009 Detroit Lions, the only team that's had that worse a starting defensive field position. Your point's awesome.
Well, it's because of turnovers by the offense. The Raiders offense leads the NFL in turnovers right now with 11, and quarterback Geno Smith is responsible for nearly all of those with a league most 10 interceptions. Hopefully we can take the ball away a few times here today. What do you think?
Well, it's perplexing, and I think it's really Chip Kelly wanting to run. Let's say they'll run the whole volume of the offense, because Geno Smith over time has not been an interception thrower.
Yeah.
And this year he's got, as you mentioned, 10. But here's what's unique about it. 6 of those 10, Matt, have been without pressure or blitzing, meaning he's just gaffing it. It's not like his arms hit or, he's getting pressured. He's just throwing it to the wrong spot. Now, I did notice last week that I think that they're trying to, and maybe this is Pete Carroll going, hey, we're going to have a chance here. And by turning it over this much, it's not going to work. So we're going to shrink the offense. That last week, he only had 1 pass of 10 yards or more. 1. And they beat Tennessee, living off their defense, turnovers, and Ashton Genty.
Well, the other issue for them this year has been their red zone touchdown efficiency. They're scoring touchdowns in the red zone at just a 39% clip this year, second worst rate in the NFL. You mentioned it, though. One area they've been successful is running the football with Ashton Genty. What a player he is. He's 9th in the league in rushing right now. But it's really the advanced metrics that stand out with him. He's forced 26 missed tackles this season, second among all running backs, and his 376 yards after contact trail only Jonathan Taylor and Bijan Robinson. If you're looking for ways that things could go badly for the Chiefs, huge day. We can't let that happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned second. Jonathan Taylor's the only guy that's got more forced missed tackles. And I went back and researched him. Even at Boise State, he was way ahead of anybody in FBS last year in forced missed tackles, like 25 more than the next closest guy, including all of the Power 4 schools. So Gentry's a menace. You know, you and I on draft, during draft time, those 3 days, I remember when, like, they got Brock Bowers, or the Chargers got Ladd McConkey, or I remember when Von Miller was drafted by the Broncos, and you just kind of stop and you kind of pause. You go like, ugh. When they got Gentry, and they were aggressive to go get Gentry, then we're going, got to deal with this guy. He's legit. He reminds me a lot of Darren Sproles, a lot of power in his lower body, and so and he's a threat to catch it too. So it's not just, I mean, right now he's the centerpiece of their offense.
So how about this? We just got the inactives early today. Christian was early for his interview. We had no technology for a while.
It's the noon kickoff.
Yeah, and we just got the inactives early. There's some big news for the Raiders here. That's why I wanted to get to it. So we knew Brock Bowers likely wasn't going to play. He was doubtful coming into this game. That's a really big deal. He's not going to play. Brock Bowers is inactive. This is a player who was one of the best pass catchers in all of football last year. He's not going to play. But Jacoby Myers also is not going to play, Mitch.
Yep.
And he was questionable coming in with a knee and a toe injury. I kind of figured he'd give it a go here today, but he's not going to play. That's a big deal. I mean, you're taking maybe their top 2 pass catchers off of their offense. We'll see how the Chiefs defense responds.
Well, it goes back to Gentry then, because now he becomes even more a part of it. But their top 3 guys are those 2 and then Gentry. So you've got Trey Tucker you got to respect now.
Yeah, good player.
Because he's a really good player, and he played really good last week in their win over the Titans. So you got to deal with him, but not having Bowers or Myers makes it really tough on Geno Smith.
For the Chiefs, the only one we were watching was Josh Simmons. He's not playing today. We all know that with personal reasons. Means another game for Jalen Moore, who played well last week at left tackle.
Yeah, but we've seen this in the league. Now, Jalen Moore did a remarkable job last week, but you go off adrenaline when you find out, hey, Sunday morning you're going to be the guy, and the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson, didn't know it was going to be the guy. So you go off just kind of, hey, sometimes out of fear, adrenaline, instinct. Now Max Crosby's had all week. It's also Eastern Michigan against Western Michigan. So You've got the MAC rivals here. Max Crosby has watched every bit of tape on Jalen Moore, and he'll call him names and bring up his old girlfriends and his aunt who lives in Detroit, whatever. But it's now they've got tape on you. So this is a big challenge today for Jalen, because play they prepared for Jalen, and we'll see how 77 responds.
And I don't really care about the records or what's happening with either team. It's Raider week. These games are always tough. These divisional matchups are always difficult. But what an opportunity this is for the Chiefs. Like we talked about earlier, we've been waiting to see this offense for over a year and a half, and who better to unleash it against than the Raiders here today. For Mitch Holthus, I'm Matt McMullen. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Let's go get a victory.